I want us this morning to start the conversation with corruption, precisely because, and I don't know if some of you have seen the story on the Daily Maverick this morning. It's actually quite shocking. The CEO of the IDT was caught bribing, her and her spokesperson were caught on camera bribing Peter Louis Meybeck, who is the investigative journalist for Daily Maverick. It's shocking, but it tells you how brazen corruption is. It shows you how blunt these people are. It concerns me on the one hand because that means that they've probably done it before. Why did they do it with such ease? How do you take 60,000 rand out of your bag and you just offer it to a journalist? That's crazy. So I wonder if they've not done it before. But two, I wonder if the law enforcement agencies are going to pick up on this. So this is where I want us to begin. So if you've got something to say about where we find ourselves in as far as corruption is concerned, we've got some roving mics, and I'll start with a representative from Outer. How are you doing, my brother?
Always a pleasure, Clement.
Always a pleasure. Please just give us your name and surname. And yeah, let's talk about corruption. How did we get here, and how do we get out of it?
Thank you. Julius Kleinans, I'm executive manager at Outer. And it's quite brutal. If you look about while government's talking about the national dialogue now, it's 700 million rand for a chat. We don't need another chat. We need action.
I can tell you we spent less than 700 million rand for this dialogue.
No, exactly, and that's the reality. So, you know, you don't need another dialogue. You can literally just get your shoes dirty and start seeing how people are suffering. And that's a sad case. So I think, firstly, South Africa has no shortage of laws and policies and even commissions for fighting corruption. It's really a lack of political will. Corruption is not being defeated by new frameworks. It's thriving because of the absence of consequence. And I think that is really why we're sitting where we are. There's always been sufficient funds in South Africa to address the wrongs of the past. It's the leaders that has had the ability and responsibility, the custodianship, who are bad stewards in ensuring that we can get freed up and ensure that we live in a corrupt-free South Africa where everyone can prosper. So it's become a space, and I think the former President Zuma boasted about the thousands of millionaires that was created under his reign. And it's not necessarily productive salaries that were created, and it's really the coffers of tax that's been stolen. So I think another big problem is how the influence of state capture has broken the system up and opened it up for freedom of corruption. If you look at the lack of investigative capacity in the police service, obviously if there's a crime, someone needs to investigate it, get the facts, and that needs to be positioned in such a way where you can actually prosecute someone. We know that the NPA has been infiltrated as well. And till this day, a lot of those people are still in those positions of power and influence. So for as long as we don't have the political will and the leaders who are bold enough to take action, regardless of who's in power, we won't see a difference, the difference we need to see.
Yeah. How do we see the difference? Does anybody else want to talk about the issue of corruption? We can bring the mic over here. Because I get what you mean about the lack of accountability. For as long as, I mean, do we know any prominent politician who's in orange overalls? Any of us? I mean, John Block in the Northern Cape, but who else? Isn't that a problem? Like when we talk about corruption and politicians, we just saw someone on Sunday, a video of someone offering a bribe. And the question is, are we ever going to see them in orange overalls? Because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Peter Louis Meybeck has published so many stories about this woman and the trail of money. But are we going to see her in orange overalls? And why do we not see that? Like at what point are we going to say we are actually dealing with crime? Go ahead, brother.
Hello, my name is Lawrence. I am a concerned citizen and a parent and a father of 2 boys. And what I wanted to add on what Mr. there said is the level of investigation of crimes, whether it starts at the bottom as a first officer responding to a crime or a call out. I think the level of policing needs to be improved at the bottom. As day one, when you walk into the police college, we need to look for a different kind of person, a different kind of custodian. What is profound for me is that there's a lot of people that want to be police officers. Look, for instance, the last intake where they had the applications online, where over 1 million people applied for 5,000 posts. And we really do need that million. So I think to corruption to get lesser and the impact to start is to get more police on the ground and also to train them in a different way, to be custodians of law enforcement and love for people and the country.
Isn't the problem, though, that most of the police officers, I mean, I've got cousins who have applied to be police officers, not because they love it, not because they want to serve, but because they are unemployed. They need a job. And I think that's an issue for me, because if you don't have the love and you don't understand why you're a police officer and you actually grasp the responsibility you have as a law enforcement officer, then you're easily going to be taking and giving out bribes.
And that's the problem that we have. I come from a family where my father was in the police and my mother was in the police. My father also died in service. So I completely understand how it is to have a passion for law and a passion for people. So we need those kind of people. I want to put something bluntly out there, is that many people that get into such eligible job opportunities, I'm not sure if they get it in an honest way, and that to me is one of the first places where something needs to change. When you want to serve your country or your parliament or your organization, it needs to be in your heart. You mustn't buy a job from somewhere. Not that anybody's buying, but there's many ways. I think that's where it starts. It starts at the bottom. It starts with our young generations. And then lastly, many job opportunities that come out these days says 18 to 35. I'm a little bit older than that. It's becoming difficult, to compete. And you don't have any direction to go to get a proper job. That's why some people just take a job that's there, and then they take the wrong job. I think it starts there, at the bottom, and to get the right people for the right job, like specifically talking about police officers, you need to be blue in your heart to do this job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've heard, let's get somebody else on corruption. I've heard some listeners raise the issue of age, that we are almost like the door is closed on us because we are older than the bracket, And of course, the conversation then is, where do we prioritize? Like, which age group is mostly affected by the issue of unemployment? And we'll talk about that when we discuss unemployment. But that's a legitimate concern that I know has been raised several times on the show. My brother, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, there you go. Okay. My name is Monwabi Sidwenbas. I'm from Treatment Action Campaign based in Gauteng. So the issue of corruption, I think it's our biggest enemy in the country when it comes to progress, because it manifests in different degrees. I will only tackle one dimension, that happens under public health care, where we see, corruption manifesting itself through bribery, kickbacks, issues that relates to inflated healthcare bills, issues that relates to employment corruption, issues that deals with procurement irregularities. But I can give a myriad of examples. I mean, Tembisa Hospital is one of them, where R1 billion actually was stolen, and nobody is in incarceration as we speak right now, except for those who were ordered to kill Babita Diokaran, and I mean that case is still dragging as well. And then also you check in other hospitals as well, you realize that actually for those who are awarding tenders, they always expect kickbacks, and that hinders the provision of quality health care. And that's the biggest problem. Unfortunately, nobody of significance that has been arrested for such. So that means the very same people that we trust, whom now we've lost that rapport with, are actually complicit, right? So if you look at the value chain, you will find politicians being there, the people who are quite formidable in business, also being part of the very same cartel, if you like, and that's the biggest problem. And I still don't know what is to be done, because the very same police whom we entrusted them with that particular responsibility to be able to, restore justice, but are the ones who are actually in the pockets of those who are actually, participating in that particular cartel. So that's the biggest problem. As Treatment Action Campaign, we are concerned about such, really.
Yeah, and in fact, Dr. de Kock is here with us. We've spoken to you many times as a policing expert.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, as this gentleman said, be blue in the heart. And we're not seeing a lot of that, and that's the beginning of the problem.
Maybe just a little bit of my background. I was a researcher at the Human Science Research Council, joined the police in '95 as the head of the Crime Information Analysis Center, and then retired in 2013, but I still do my analysis every day. And I'm doing consulting work. I just now want to stick to corruption, because otherwise I get involved in the crime discussion. That will be later. On corruption, I think there's a basic problem. Point number one, I think people join public service on all levels, local up to national, police, all departments. They join it and think, as you have said, sometimes they don't get another work, so they join that. And they think they're going to get rich. You can't join the police service and think you're going to get rich, even if you become a general eventually. I mean, it's a salary that you can live with quite well. There's no shortage of nothing. But the thing is, people think they can become rich, and then corruption starts to creep in, because that's the big money. Not the salary, but the money that can be made on the side. And unfortunately, in South Africa, we have become very materialistic. We compete with the neighbors. We must have a bigger car, bigger house. We must have 5 houses, not only one. And we have become more materialistic. I always said the American society is the most materialistic, but I think we are far ahead now. I think they've lost us, or we lost them. That's one issue. The second issue is that materialism and a lack of patriotism. We don't do anything for the country. It is what is in it for me. Now, if we have that attitude, we can just as well even close the doors of the police service.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, we can clap to that. It's okay. All right, it's 9:33. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll come back and continue the conversation as part of our People's Dialogue. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. As South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue, former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change. Bam, the first African woman to be appointed to the body which oversees elections, says South Africa copied a system that doesn't best serve its people. As it stands, South Africans vote parties into power, who in turn appoint representatives to serve at their behest. Members of Municipal Workers Union SAMU are marching in Tshwane over salary increases. The union says it will submit its memorandum to municipal officials to demand clarity of disputed increases of between 3.4 and 5.4%. The union says its members are not satisfied with what the employer is offering. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Washington to ramp up pressure on Russia to end its invasion during a visit to Moscow by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. Zelensky says it's important to strengthen all the levers of the arsenal of the United States, Europe and the G20 so that a ceasefire comes into effect immediately. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amu, how the cars moving on the roads?
Well, they are stuck in traffic, Clement. Good morning. There's an accident reported in Bryanston along the N1 South, right near Malibongo Drive. Delays coming out of Winnie Mandela Drive. The N1 North is also affected due to the scene. If you're traveling in Bedfordview or towards Bedfordview, do expect heavy traffic volumes on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange, while heading towards Amalgam. Traffic remains very slow on the M2 West between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. Traffic lights are out of order in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Leslie. They're also out in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, bound to cause some delays. Please be on the lookout there. We'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Do you want to buy a Honda? Cars.coza. Toyota or Mahindra? Cars.coza. Do you want to sell a Cherry? Cars.coza. Suzuki or Mercedes? Cars.coza. Polo, Kia, Mitsubishi, Havel, Hyundai, Lamborghini. Buy and sell, it's very easy. All you got to do is type Cars.coza. 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 Let's find what moves you. Cars.coza. Cars.coza.
Enjoy the soothing sounds of the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra at the opening concert of their early spring symphony season under the baton of popular conductor Ayan Teen, featuring dynamic classical trumpeter Dingan Chabalala. The program includes Bizet's Carmen Suite and Voshag's Popular Symphony No. 6, Thursday the 7th of August at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available through Quicket.
It all starts with advice from FNB Private. Because the perfect overseas trip starts with planning. Save and spend in multiple currencies with your FNB Global account and lock in exchange rates. Enjoy up to 40% off flights with eBucks Travel. And order Forex on the FNB app delivered to you at no extra cost. Your adventure awaits. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
Miranda is feeling very distressed. She's as bald as a billiard ball. This must be the work of her fancy new name brand shampoo.
No.
She bought it because of an ad, which read, buy one and get one best hair free. But because the dumb ad had neglected to add, buy one and get one best hair free, for free.
What?
Miranda washed her hair in hair removal cream. Now, Miranda is going to need therapy and some new hats. Report misleading ads to the Advertising Regulatory Board at arb.org.za.
Dear Mr. President,
We'd like a word.
the people have something to say
The People's Dialogue.
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
22 minutes before 10 o'clock, you are listening to the special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. This is the People's Dialogue. I'm doing the open line, but I can see the people I'm talking to. This is so cool, actually. I think I should do radio more like this. I think this is an idea. We should talk to the bosses to have an audience every time we do radio. It's so much fun interacting with people when you can see them. All right, we are also interacting with you. If you're listening to us, maybe you're driving to work, you're at the office, you're at home, you can send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. Let's hear what some of you have had to say based on the conversation we've had so far.
Morning, Clement. Morning to your listeners as well. You know, the solution to our problem in South Africa, these old men must give chance to younger people, to young bloods. They had enough money, they made enough money, they had enough time. Let them be removed and give young blood a chance, please.
Good morning, Clement, and thanks for the People's Dialogue. Can we push for subs and metro police all over the country to introduce body cams in order to monitor our law enforcement officers to get rid of the core of corruption? Can we just have body cams? It's Mario. I'm in Patlu. Thank you.
Clement, good morning. I trust you well. Look, majority of our problems in South Africa are as a result of politics. Most of our socio-economic circumstances that we find ourselves in are as a result of politics, because the political elite is not interested in taking this country forward. Yeah, that would be my input. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your inputs. Let's go to Bongi, who's calling us from Kyalami. Bongi, good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Hi, go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, I just wanted to say that the point I want to make regarding corruption, it really all depends on us as individuals. The day we stop being willing to pay bribes is when corruption will end. Secondly, when it comes to littering, it's each and every one of us who has to take the responsibility and say, I will not throw a piece of paper or cardboard out of the window because there isn't anyone who's going to come and pick up after myself. In that way, we will have better and cleaner looking environment. So I think a lot of these issues that we point to government officials for actually start with us.
Absolutely.
We stop being willing to pay bribes, then we're going to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, that's so important, Bongi. I mean, how often do we think of the challenges and we are quick to blame, but we don't take self-accountability? Bongi in Kailami, thank you so much for your call. Let me wrap up the conversation on corruption with you, my brother, and then we'll move to unemployment. Okay, I'll come to you also quickly. Corruption as well? Sure, corruption is an issue, miss.